How about if we need to do absolute equations, but with 2 steps? So before you panic and say this is too much, realize it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't change too much of what we did from yesterday. So the big new concept here is if you have more than an absolute value on one side of the equation, we want to move all of that to the other side. So we always want to end up with whatever's in the absolute value sign, all by itself, equals some constant on the right. Okay? So in this case, since we have the absolute value of 8x plus 7 equals 47, we want to start off by getting rid of this 7. So we do minus 7 to both sides. So we're left with, oops, let's do this better. Absolute value of 8x, not 0.8, just 8. This is going to cancel. 47 minus 7 is 40. Okay. And now you notice this looks a lot like yesterday's. We just have absolute value equals some number. So then we split that up into the 2 separate equations. So I want to know why that comes out as red, even though you saw me quickly. We also want to know what is 8x equals 40. And we also want to know is what if 40 was negative. So 8x equals negative 40. Okay. So we solve both of these out, so we're going to just divide both sides by 8. I'm not sure why I went back to red, but that's okay. Let's divide everything by 8. And we're left with x equals 40 divided by 8 is 5. So those cancel. Or these cancel. X equals negative 5. Because you remember from yesterday, if you're just multiplying or dividing with the absolute value, you're going to get the same answer just with opposite signs. Here's our answer. And we can check that. So 8 times 5 is 40. 40 plus 7 is 47. That's good. Negative 5. So 8 times negative 5 is negative 40, but the absolute value of negative 40 is positive 40. Plus 7 is still 47. Okay, so it works. You can also see as we start adding more sets of equations, it makes our graph look a little bit fancier. So here's our graph of absolute value of 8x plus 7. And then we see where when y equals 47, we do get negative 5 and positive 5. Just like we said. There you go. And then you can start to see, if you keep graphing these, it's a little bit interesting to see what they look like when you graph them. The correlation between how these graphs look compared to your quadratic equations, as far as there's this vertex here, the way it opens up, how much it opens. So it might start jogging your memory of quadratic equations from last year. All right, let's see. How about our second one? Same idea. We have absolute value of 10 plus x divided by 8 equals 4. So I just want to get rid of this dividing by 8. So that's going to be my first step. So I'm going to divide both sides by 8. Or no, I'm sorry. To get rid of division, we need to multiply both sides by 8. Sorry, scratch that. So times 8. So those will cancel. It's going to leave us the absolute value of 10 plus x. To your best, if you need to turn this work in by hand, you might want to start putting fancier ones, because otherwise it sort of looks like you write 110 if you don't make those bars pretty obvious. Just like a heads up for you. Because I know mine, I can't tell the difference sometimes. 4 times 8 is 32. So now once we have absolute value on one side, number on the right, we just want to split this up into 2 separate equations. I want to know, when does 10 plus x equal positive 32? And then I want to know, when does 10 plus x equal negative 32? So we're going to solve both sides of that. So we do the same math. So we need to get rid of this positive 10 for both of these equations. So minus 10 from everywhere. These are going to cancel. So we have x equals 32 minus 10 is 22. On the other side, x, negative 32 minus 10 more is negative 42. And there are our 2 answers. Okay. And then we can check that one. If I come back to my graph, I want to hide these ones. I don't need that anymore. Bring these ones back up. Then we can see we've got this wide opening graph. We do have points at -42 and +22. So it checks. There you go. So same thing, just one more step. At the very beginning, you want to isolate the absolute value, everything in the absolute value sign first, split it up into two separate equations, and then solve. There you go. All right, remember, if you have questions, let me know on Canvas.